next four panelists. We've got a little bit of adapting to do, I think, with the set, but not very much. So I think we can call the four of them up, because this is a journey that's going to take us around the world, to Latin America. It will take us to Australia, to the United States, and to the United Kingdom. So let me please invite our four panelists up onto the stage. First of all, Naoya Yoshida. Naoya is a fourth-generation owner and breeder, and started at the Yoshida Stud Farm, which dates itself back to 1898, has worked extensively in Ireland and, of course, in the United States, where in Kentucky he has established very successfully Winchester Farm. Naoya, thank you very much indeed. Please come and join us. Sarah Carmichael is the CEO of the International Thoroughbred Breeders Federation. Sarah has a 30-year track record in the thoroughbred industry, starting in Newmarket, which I'm very fond of as well, but with a background in design and advertising as well. Sarah, please come and join us on the stage. Anthony Thompson is the owner and director of Widden Stud in Australia. Anthony can boast, as seventh generation, a farm that goes back to 1867, in fact. But you've travelled widely as well, Anthony, New Zealand, the US, the UK, and of course, Hunter Valley. And certainly not least, but last on the list of four, Ignacio Pawlowski, the president of Haras Campagne, a breeder with extraordinary success rates, 62 graded states winners, 21 grade 1 winners, 10 champions. Ladies and gentlemen, our panel. Please take a seat. As I said, we'll have a bit of a round the houses to start with, if that's okay, to get a sense as to how the land lies in your particular part of the world at the moment. So, Sarah, let me start with you, if I may. And I should say thank you also to the graph that Mutsuki Ishimaru put up right at the start on the just giving us a view of the foal crop numbers. And it's probably fair to say in the UK, pretty steady over the last 10 years or so. What does that and doesn't that tell us about the state of the industry for you?
Well, yes, we're stabilised, but I think if you were to go and stand in the UK, the industry would say we need more foals, we need to be producing more. But I think it's worth outlining a situation that we had around the millennium, which was we had gone from having set stud fees, and what you saw the horse advertised for, the stallion advertised for, that is what you paid. Then we had a complete pendulum swing. We were lucky that we were supported by the main racing and breeding operations in the UK and Ireland and France. But the stallion marketing became incredibly competitive. And what we saw was deals being offered, and everybody loves a bargain, and we saw mare owners bringing mares out of retirement, or mares that hadn't cut the mustard on the racecourse previously. So what happened was we had an overproduction of foals that were not suitable for the sales ring or actually for the racetrack, and it became a crisis, really. It was quite a desperate situation, to the point where at sales rings, horses were being abandoned in their stables at the end of the sale. We never ever want to repeat that situation. How it actually redressed itself was the financial crisis, which is not what you want to get yourself out of a bad situation. So the overriding factor is that we must always, always breed quality over quantity. We need to be breeding tough, correct, sound, athletic individuals for the racetrack. So we are where we are, and let's hope that we're producing quality over quantity. So the other factor is stallions. Our stallion numbers have reduced dramatically over 10 years. So we've gone from having 218 stallions in Great Britain in 2013 to just 118 in 2023. That's another factor of the competitiveness of the larger stallion stations, a fact of life, and so we're on the back foot with the number of stallions that we have. We also have, it's all sounding doom and gloom here, but I'm inspired by Bob's talk this morning and that we will get through all of this. We also have a generational crisis with our long-standing stud owners, our owner breeders, who have been part of the establishment. They've produced Derby winners, Arc winners, bloodlines that are the envy of the world, and they are coming to the end of their term, if you like. So we hope that the next generation of the family will embrace the business, but there are no guarantees, and we sometimes see that there are dispersal sales, fantastic bloodlines go abroad, or it's just a reduced operation in size. So we do have issues, and staffing as well, as is much discussed all week. We have the same issues. We have the courses, but staffing is an issue.
Okay, we can't take any more. Hold on. I was looking for a reason to be cheerful.
Yes.
However, my next point is perhaps adds a little bit more fuel to the fire, because prize money's not where you might want it to be at the moment in the UK either. So in terms of encouraging owners and breeders, what can you do?
Well, I have positivity,
Free.
Which is that the British TBA have got bonus schemes, and it is designed to incentivise bringing in breeders and owners so that it is breed, race, retain. And they're aiming at fillies to keep the production going, so bonuses for fillies, staying races, and they have invested 15 million actually in just 4 years on bonus schemes, and that's being taken up very well by people. And Tattersalls, the auction house, likewise have similar schemes that are very attractive. So positivity.
And that is making a difference?
I think so. I mean, all we can do is drive these positive initiatives forward. And, we have to just keep the encouragement there.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Noya, perhaps I could get the American perspective from you.
Yes, the U.S. breeding industry just got over the big trouble due to pandemic, and then most of things has been back to normal. However, the top price range of market is pretty strong, this is for sure. However, we need more stability of middle and reasonable price market so far too. Now, the Dr. Shimano of JRA just mentioned the number of horses per year last 10, 15 years, then it dropped down so much. However, we had a global economic crisis, plus we all share the panic incident due to coronavirus. Then we have to stop the racing, including Kentucky Derby. We postponed some public auctions, so we had many hardships. And these two big points really affect horse owner or broodmare owners, the passion. Then we lost so many horses. However, we believe we went the bottom, but U.S. breeding industry is on the phase of going back to. And Kentucky, where I was, still has a big advantage. So many people invest to buy horses or keep horses. In fact, 3 speakers just before our session, they're all coming back to Kentucky to buy broodmares. Plus, for instance, the Golden 60, the national hero of Hong Kong racing, he was born in Australia. However, his stallion and dam were born in United States. So this pedigree stock of United States is huge. And the same as other breeders, we American breeders are always looking for something new, the new blood. So we are very eager to study where we should go, where we have to buy. Always, for instance, we regularly go to Argentina to buy new blood, then create something new what we didn't have it before. So then Lexington still has many specialists working for horse industry, breeders, yes, and then soil specialists, veterinarian, dentist, chiropractor, and so on. And we keep this advantage more and more. Of course, this is an Asian Racing Conference, but I really want to suggest that all members to hold this conference in United States one day. Then we really want to invite you to Kentucky to show the reality to you, positive side and negative side. And happily, we have chairman of Breeders' Cup here today. So I'm sure he can prepare the 800 Breeders' Cup ticket to you all when it happens. Anyway, our industry seems to be fine so far, but we have some issues to sort out altogether. For instance, in 2020, we set the horse community set up new organization called the HISA to try to set nationwide common protocol for horse safety and so on too. And now it's really time to think of more alliance relationships between breeding industry and racing side too, because we are having a new earring auction soon, 3,000-4,000 earring coming. But we have much less buyers as compared with 20 years ago when we moved to Kentucky. So we really have to promote owners or younger generations coming back.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Thank you for that. I just wanted to bring one other element in, because I've got a bit of a list here. Hollywood Park, Arlington Park, Calder, Golden Gate Fields. There's a lot of closure of tracks going on, and that must impact pretty directly on you.
So, yes, it is quite true too. So, in fact, we share you all members' feeling because we know the difficulty of Singapore and Macau. So, we, the United States horsemen, we are worried about the future of California. Golden Gate, unfortunately, was closed, and we lost the Hollywood Park. And then, this is my personal opinion. However, we have Delmar racetrack. It's a very nice racetrack, especially summertime. And Delmar now is a host of Breeders' Cup sometimes. So Breeders' Cup, having a meeting 2 years, this year and next year at the Delmar, at the same place. Now, Delmar Race Course is owned by county, the regional government, not a private company or owners or breeders. So it's owned by public. So they kindly accept to hold a race meeting in summertime and the Breeders' Cup. However, they do not think of to open their facility year-round for race meeting or training purposes. So I personally hope having a 2 Breeders' Cup meeting at Delmar can be good message to California State, and then Delmar and that's local society to think of to do more for horse industry.
Okay, Noya, thank you very much indeed, and we'll ask Drew later if he's got his tickets for all of us for the Breeders' Cup. Thank you very much indeed. Anthony, let me turn to you and to the sort of Australian landscape, if you like. Given some of what we've heard, you're in the land of milk and honey, but betting's good, the races are good, the prize money's good. Give us a picture of the landscape for you.
Yes, David. Australia's booming. We're the second largest breeding industry in the world by numbers, but I'd say we're world leaders in many ways. You look at our industry, we've got a really solid foundation. The 4 pillars of our industry, I guess, are very strong. The love of racing is obvious. If you come to Australia, you'll pick up a newspaper. Quite often racing can be on the front cover. More than not, it's on the back cover, and it's always in the middle in the form of a form guide. You walk into a pub, what's better? You can have a beer and you can have a bet and you can watch a race. You turn on the TV, free-to-air racing is on the TV. Everyone has the apps on their phone. So this love of racing drives our strong wagering, which you mentioned, and we've seen some big numbers there. We're world leaders as well in when it comes to betting. 26 million Aussies, and we bet $26 billion a year on horse racing. Something to be proud of. Highest per capita in the world. We're world leaders in prize money as well. Obviously, that's driven out of that strong wagering. Nick Smith said yesterday that the pattern is the cornerstone of the English racing system. We'd say prize money is the cornerstone of the Australian racing system. Some may say, and Nick sort of jibed, because our pattern's broken, but I said because your wagering model's broken. But we'll leave that one to the side. But that wagering has broken through, has seen prize money break through $1 billion last year. $1 billion paid out to the participants. I think it was 940 million by the race clubs and another 80 million from the sales companies and the state-based breeding bonuses. Imagine having $1 million plus race every 3.6 days on average. This year we broke through the 100 million plus races. That's a staggering stat. 10 years ago, I think there were 21 in Australia. Now we've got over 100. Compare that to the US with 67 or Great Britain and Europe with 29. It just gives you a perspective of how much prize money there is. A 45% increase in prize money in the past 5 years. This prize money drives ownership. We lead the world there as well in syndication. Over 100,000 registered owners in Australia, or one in about every 250 Aussies own a share in a horse. We learned yesterday from Lockie Fit, and I didn't even know, there's another 30,000 who are on the Ladbrokes ownership in the Ladbrokes Racing Club. They're not even registered owners, but the Ladbrokes Racing Club. Imagine the joy of thinking we've now got bookmakers racing horses in Australia. That tells you how well we're going. We're leaders in communication. Maria Yoshida this morning, I was talking to her and she opened her phone and watched her horse at a trial in Australia, and she said the Aussies are the best. Real time, real information, and I think that's driven by so many owners. We've adapted to that and embraced it. Michael from the Hong Kong Jockey Club yesterday told us a Cinderella story, one I enjoyed. He talked of glass slippers. Well, in Australia, we talk of golden slippers, the world's richest 2-year-old race. We talk of Everest, Peter V'landys, the world's richest sprint race. And Claire stood up, or Taylor Swift, and she talked of engaging young people. Peter said the majority of people at the Everest, and it was a sellout crowd, are under 35. That sets us up for the future. That leads us to a really healthy breeding industry. A very stable foal population, 13,000 foals, but in the prize money we've seen the increases. Not in the prize money, in sales, bloodstock sales we've seen the increases, breaking through $1 billion again in thoroughbred sales last year. 600 million in yearlings, and there's 300 million in mares, foals and 2-year-old. And there's an interesting 100 million in digital or online sales last year, people clicking away. We saw a mare make over 4 million, she didn't leave a paddock. Our stallion Zoostar, we sold a share in him a couple of weeks ago for a client, valued him at 78 million online. He stood in his stable. We're seeing this liquidity in the market, and it's giving us a real-time window into what's happening in every fortnight, seeing a very active online sale. We have some of the best stallions in Australia. We're very fortunate not only with the Aussie sprinters, but also to have access with the shuttle to some of the best stallions from America, from Europe, and one of only 2 countries who has the access to the finest bloodlines from Japan as well, with Australia and New Zealand able to shuttle stallions from Japan.
Anthony, sorry just to interrupt you for a moment, can I just turn that slightly on its head then and say, what about exports? What about pushing out internationally? It sounds like you've got a great field anyway, domestically. You might not even see the value, but as we've just heard, Macau's gone, Singapore's going. How does that look?
Don't be negative, David.
It doesn't seem to be in your DNA. I certainly agree.
It's going well. We've seen Australian mayors doing a great job for us. Mayors exported from Australia produced 9 Group 1 winners last year that foals that were born internationally, including Japan's champion filly Liberty Island. The Hong Kong market is, I guess, a very vibrant and growing market, and obviously with the introduction of the Hong Kong Jockey Club racing in China, they need more horses. So there's some good strength there. We were very sad to see, the demise of Singapore and Macau racing, but those markets were smaller markets. I think there was about 150 horses to Singapore a year and 50 to Macau, and in dollars terms it was far smaller than what we see going up to Hong Kong. So yes, the export market is a challenge. We would love to crack the Middle East, and we heard how vibrant that is yesterday. That's presented us with a lot of challenges. The tyranny of distance, I guess, and the fact that the Australian races aren't shown or broadcast due to the geo-blocking into the Middle East does make it hard. But that's a target market for us, and certainly one after yesterday that we're quite inspired to explore.
That you're working on. Okay, thank you very much, Anthony. Ignacio, let me turn to you and to Argentina. 5th largest thoroughbred breeding country. What is the state of affairs then for you in Argentina?
Well, after listening to Anthony, I'm jealous. I don't want to talk. Argentina, the challenge that it has for Argentina, it has a long history in breeding. We started our stud book in 1870, so nearly 2 decades ago, 2 centuries ago, and at the beginning we imported many mares from Europe, principally from the beginning until the 60s that we started importing a lot from America, and that including, that is something very important that we have. Argentina has a very big not only space, because we have 30 million hectares of agricultural land, plus also we have, compared for what the Yoshida family said, we have a very good climate. We have the 4 seasons very well marked, but we don't have a very tough winter, and also we don't have very tough summers. We have water, we are very lucky. We have more or less in average 1,000 millimeters a year without having to irrigate, so the conditions are really, really good. In another hand, we have 3 racetracks that works well, and we have a funnel, because all this crop, we have 6,500 borns, and they all have to compete in between 3 racetracks, so the possibility of winning is very tough. No? Imagine we have in those 3 racetracks around 200 2-year-old maiden races. So imagine how difficult it is to win a 2-year-old race. On the other hand, the problem is we have been in the last, I don't know how many years, maybe 70, in one crisis after another one. And the last year, we had an inflation that I think we broke the record, because it was around 260%.
263, I think you hit, actually.
263, yeah. Imagine in 1 year, imagine how difficult it is. And so all the industries have suffered, and we have not been an exception. But well,
so sorry, and on that point, what is the impact of that?
Well, the impact was that, imagine that how difficult, because when we produce too many horses for what the market can absorb. So the other problem we have, that we have not been able to communicate properly outside, and Argentina needs clearly to export a lot more than it has. So we don't have the luck that Australia has, that they have such a an industry so well settled and with so much money inside that they don't need, as we do need, to export a lot of more horses.
So what do you do? What are you looking to do to sustain, to develop as well the racing scene in Argentina? I mean, those are massive struggles which go way beyond racing.
Yes, we have it's really a very difficult task, because we should. For them, for example, Singapore was not. For us, was very bad, because Singapore used to buy a lot of horses from us. So it was very sad. I think in my case, every racetrack that closes anywhere is something that is very bad for the industry. I hope a bigger industry. No, I don't like to see the industry falling. Since I started, for example, in IFHA, I remember the first year I was there, the number of births was around 114,000, and nowadays we are in 80,000. So I think that the industry should look at this. Something we are not doing it properly, that the industry is concentrating. So we should look more than what is going wrong, that we are not expanding.
Okay, Nestor, thanks very much for that. Sarah, I want to come back over to you on a slightly different point here, really, and this is about inbreeding and diversity. I know there is an anxiety. It's been expressed by Simon Cooper, who's the vice chair of the International Stud Book Committee, about the number of active stallions in any case, the long-term genetic health message that's putting out. How worried should we be?
Well, I think first to say that the ITBF and EFTRA, which is the European Federation of Thoroughbred Breeders Association, they've had a genomics advisory group that's been in existence since 2011 and have been monitoring studies, etc., and having open dialogues with people. So, and they say that there is no evidence of inbreeding in thoroughbreds. There's no, if there was a detrimental effect, we would be seeing a decline in fertility, which we're not. In fact, fertility is very good on well-managed studs, much higher fertility than there are in other breeds that are working with artificial breeding methods. And there's been no decline in the performance on the racecourse. We're still producing athletes that the next generation is consistently high performing and breaking track records. So I think that it's absolutely key that we are all centred on upholding the ban on all artificial breeding methods. To go down that route would seriously impact negatively the genetic pool and diversity. The sexing of sperm, for instance, would see certain stallions consistently producing progeny of one sex, a very, very frightening future in that respect.
But it's a conversation that is bubbling up again, isn't it? It's not going away.
No, I think it will continue to do so, and with the younger generations coming through, it is a go-to conversation, and I think the conversation has to be had, but the facts and the information has to be there. And there's been some very good presentations recently, balanced, and it still points in all directions that to go down the artificial breeding method, we would lose the integrity of the thoroughbred. And actually, Natasha yesterday demonstrated that the easiest way to genetically manipulate the thoroughbred would be through the embryo. When that door's open, you cannot close that door. The thoroughbred as a breed would not be there as we know it.
I mean, I'll speak from a point of considerable ignorance, really, but why is the thoroughbred so very different then in terms of AI? I mean, it's available, it can be done with other horses?
It could, but we have to protect the genetic pool. The fashion of certain stallions would mean that would be their go-to. It would be, I know Simon would say, you could limit that, but when you go down one route of artificial breeding method, is then there are so many there. The possibility of breeding with long dead stallions, for instance, it would be very hard to regulate it, and I think the genetic manipulation situation would be the most frightening of all.
Okay, thank you for that. I've got a question that's come in from the floor here, which I'll put out, and it's for Dr. Yoshida here. So you've got an increase in prize money in the US, and you've got a decrease in foal crops, and that doesn't seem logical.
Yes, again, we got the big incidents that financial crisis plus pandemic financial loss against horse owners. So, living in a big country, it's hard to say what is a reasonable number of racehorses or what is a reasonable number of crop by year. We are losing more racetrack. That means we are losing more races every year. So, it doesn't make sense to try to go up to the 40,000 per year, of course, no. So we try to figure out what is best. Now, most of you may remember that Jockey Club of America announced a new rule called breeding cap, just setting a limit number of mares covered by the same stallion in the same breeding season. It was 140 mares per stallion. So, this subject is coming up because of same concerns, the bad effect of inbreeding and so on too. Well, I am a veterinarian, but I'm not specialist of gene science. However, even before this subject, we had to try to avoid any side effect or any bad things about inbreeding. We really try to avoid these kind of issues to keep the good number plus health level of stallion and brood mares.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I just want to ask a quick question for all of you, actually, and it's reflecting on the panel we had just a moment ago about recruitment, and in particular, female recruitment into your industry. Ignacio, let me start from here. How easy is it to recruit at the moment?
To?
Recruit, to get personnel, to get staff.
I think it's one of the biggest issues that the industry has. In Argentina, luckily, we have very, very good horsemanship, especially in the north of the country. And I think it's very important to do schools for jockeys, for farriers, for grooms. And also, especially in the farms, you have to be, nowadays, you have to be very careful in having all the facilities that the city gives to the people, like internet and access to technology, so that the people doesn't want to leave the farms because of their kids and their education. So that is but it's a very big problem worldwide, no? That you don't have people that knows. Every day is more difficult to have good people handling horses.
Are you finding that, Anthony? I mean, obviously, we've talked about the boom, but in terms of getting people to ride out and being out with you in the gorgeous Hunter Valley?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. We, like Japan, have started a training thing for young people in the industry, which has worked quite well. I noticed the Japanese system of doing that course. So there's a fast-track course, which is a 1-year Certificate 3 horse handling course, and that's worked very well. We're getting some good students through that, and they're graduating to be very useful and successful farm managers. And we struggle, I guess, like everyone across the board. I see one of our biggest challenges is vets. Finding thoroughbred vets is a challenge. To become a vet in Australia, it's a 7-year degree. It's very expensive, and a lot of vets are opting for where the money is, with cats and dogs and living in the city. We had a lot of vets graduating who don't want to do the horse work and be on call 24/7 and out in the rain and the mud. So that is a challenge, and we're trying to work with the universities to actually get a horse veterinary course up where you don't have to spend so much time learning about birds or snakes or all the other stuff, where they can get through and in about 5 years, not 7 years, without the cost, and become a large animal equine specialist.
And focus on, more specifically. Let me just bring that through to you, Sarah, and then to Naoya on recruitment.
Right.
It is a big challenge.
It is, but I think it's not just about supplying the courses. We have to demonstrate to our potential students that we are a socially responsible industry. The days are gone of just somebody doing it for the love of the horse. We need to demonstrate that we are 100% committed to all of the other factors. So the social perception of the sport, the end product. They don't want to be labelled in an industry that has a bad press, sustainability, environmental issues, mental health issues. They want to know that they're going to be looked after as soon as they embark on the education journey. So it's selling more than the product that we're used to, and it's having our house in order to do that.
Oh yeah, you're a vet by qualifications as well. So what is the answer? Is there a clear answer to recruitment?
Yes, well, we have a few matters. The first, the number of veterinarians. And second, the number of stable crew for farm and then racing stable too. I was appointed as the director of Kentucky Equine Management Internship, which accept students, college students from everywhere in the States. Then offering 6 months education program, also at the same time having working experiences. Good news is we every 6 months we got huge number of applications, so the number went down, but we still feel we have kind of potential labor supply in United States. However, because of Kentucky Derby or Breeders' Cup, it's just so fabulous. So that's why some young generation may not understand what is the fun and the pleasure to take care of the horses day to day. So that's what we try to teach and educate newcoming people. In Kentucky, happily, we still have many horse people coming from overseas too. However, this situation can be changeable because of political change. And in fact, it is a year of presidential vote. So the farm owners and the trainers are a bit scared to follow the presidential vote news so far. And then for veterinarians, as long as we base in Kentucky, Lexington, we don't really feel the shortage. However, just outside other states, many states, many horse people are in trouble to find a blacksmith or a veterinarian. And for veterinarian, it takes 8 + 2 hours to have one new vet, 8 hours at the college, and also 2 years internship and so on too. And then the many new generation of veterinarians do not have interest for not only horses, but also other large domestic animals like pig and cattle too. So now it's really time for us, the breeders, plus racing officials, to promote and appeal what is fun to work with horses. So that's my thinking too.
We've had 4 very contrasting perspectives, it seems to me, from across the world on where your industry is at the moment, which just beggars the question for me at the end. How does the international, cooperative, collaborative message that we're putting out here stride together? How does that come into play for each of you? Very briefly, Ignacio, if I could start with you.
No, as I said before, I think that it's very important that the industry worldwide supports the industry. I think that is a very big subject, and that we can open gates between us. For example, that we can export horses to Australia that nowadays we can't. Things like that.
Anthony?
Yeah, it's a very global game, and we're fortunate with the shuttle stallions and the amount of trade, and we see it at the sales market. So obviously a forum like this is a great way to share your knowledge, and I think we can all take a lot away from this fabulous few days up here in Japan, and congratulations to the JRA on what has been a thoroughly enjoyable and worthwhile event. And I think these things, as an industry on the racing, on the breeding, are a great way for us to all work together.
Yoya, could I ask you same question? The international collaborative effort.
For recruiting, yes.
Across the piece, yeah. I think the perspective that we've seen here is that collaboration can make a difference, but obviously you've all got very strong domestic issues to work with, and whether the focus is on that sort of international collaboration or not.
It may not be right answer. However, it's really nice work in horse industry. For instance, we based in the United States with no investor visa, so that means whenever I have to explain to immigration officer what we are doing, what horse people are doing it, and once we start to talk about, immigration officers start to smile. So we thought that we did right things for a long time. However, we might not have consensus from the public. So we might not do our best to explain what we are going to do and how we, how can I say, coexist with local community too. So not only working for horses, but it's time to think of more the collaboration with each local economy. Now, if you mention internationally, I'm in trouble because in United States, each state has their own rule. We have federal rule too, but each state has a different rule. So that's why I really have to think how we collaborate with any equine institute or government organization and so on before we start to think of federal or international level. But that should be the final target for us. To work together internationally.
It's a good point. Sarah, I left you to last partly because with the IFHA and the ITBF working in more collaboration, that is a message about international cooperation. What can you do in partnership?
We are both wanting the same end story, which is the future security of the thoroughbred, being bred and raced with integrity. And we can only do that together. We have, as was discussed this morning, we have a story to tell, but we have to tell it together. And all of the negativity that has happened in the press, be it equestrian or racing, they are moments in time that are spread across the globe at lightning speed now with the use of social media. But we, as Bob had said, we have to be out there proactively telling the whole story from birth through the career to a good death, being transparent, again, as was discussed about. But we have to be aligned with that same story and not hide from telling it, and just working to let people know. There's this large percentage, this was a Nevin Truesdale stat from last year at the IFHA conference that stuck with me, and it's 58% of people do not have an opinion. Now that might have changed, a lot's happened in a year, but 58% is a huge amount. They didn't care whether racing happened or it didn't. And as all of these moments in time of negativity happen, they're picking a section of these 58% of people out, loading them towards being anti it. We have to be in there proactively now, telling the good story. And it's about the people. It's the horses. The horses are the star of the show, but it's also all of the people within the industry, whether it's the farriers, the girls, lads who work on the yard. It's everybody. It's the trainers, the whole story.
The whole racing genome, if we could use that analogy.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you. Thank you for that message as well. Indeed, thank you to all of our panelists for educating me to start with, but to hear the different challenges and opportunities that lie there. So, ladies and gentlemen, our panel, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.